And welcome back to the Metal Teddy Bear Experience podcast right now. This is your host, Chris. We got my co-host, Jesse, right here. What's up, JTDrums?
We're back at it.
We're back at it. And we have another special guest on this show. We have Trevor Strnad of the Black Dahlia Murder. What's up, man?
Yo. Thanks for having me today. Appreciate it.
Dude, it's a pleasure to have you back on the show. This time in a nice little podcast form. We have video now, so it's even better. We get to see all our faces. So really pumped to talk to you. And I really want to talk about the brand new record, Verminous, right now, because I was actually spinning that right before, signing on to Skype and all that. And I just want to say thank you for writing Dawn of Rats.
I like that one. Good song.
Yeah, it's one I've been spinning on my show lately a lot, and it's the one that I feel like sticks out to me a lot. It's just like, I don't know, I just feel like the chorus hits it so hard, and it's just like a constant song of just like pure death metal, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, that's a really good one. Brian wrote the music for that song, and the last few years he's been heading into this like really neoclassical direction with what he writes, and very fuguey. Like there's the guitars are both doing something completely different, and the basses as well. And it just has that powdered wig magic going on.
It's a nice way to describe it. I can't believe this album came back in April 17th, Metal Blade Records, and dude, it's your 9th record, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So crazy. Now, when you started the Black Dahlia Murder, did you think that you're going to be hitting almost 9 records?
No, I had no clue that it would last this long. I mean, I wanted it to, but we had no idea. I wanted to make one album. I remember when that was the goal. I just wanted to have one real album, like, in a physical format that I could hand to my parents and be like, hey, check it out. I made a record. Definitely gone a little further than that, but yeah, man, it's amazing to be at the 9th record. We've been a very prolific band, obviously. Somewhat of it is an effort to kind of just to stay relevant and stay in people's minds. I feel like music has become so disposable in the last 10 years, especially. I think a lot due to streaming and downloading, and kids can just get a hold of so much music now that it feels right to kind of just keep it coming, to keep, with every album comes new artwork for kids to get excited about, new tours, new opportunities. So, yeah, just from our standpoint, man, it's been a good thing to be a prolific band.
Oh, yeah. And you guys are like touraholics, too. You guys are always on the road. I feel like there's one year you came around New York or New Jersey like at least 3 times in one year.
For sure, man. It's definitely strange to be beached right now and not be able to do anything. But, honestly, I kind of needed this break. I maybe didn't even realize it. But we have too much pride as a band, I think, to really just stop by our own accord. So in a weird way, I'm thankful for this to be able to recharge. It's not convenient to be really at the beginning of an album cycle. But there's different ways of looking at it. We could have been stuck at the end of an album cycle with no new content coming out during all this time. And so I guess, it's been the optimal situation if, you look at it that way.
It's kind of crazy how many bands, like, I guess there's so many bands out there. It makes sense. But I feel like every band we've interviewed, like, I guess they're promoting a record, but it's like, oh man, look at all these awesome bands that just get like, hey, here you go. Now we're just going to sit at home and we just let out all of our creativity. Now it's like we got to like come up with it at home, and usually you get that time off on the road where you're playing the record and you don't have to worry about, like, you get to build up those ideas over 2 years, where now you're like, well, I guess I'll just start writing now. I got nothing else going on. The album's out.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the guys are writing right now or not. I mean, I haven't talked to Brandon. He's the one I suspect might get up to writing already for a new one. He's very driven person, very creative. But
he's a riff beast, bro.
Yeah, for sure. But from my standpoint, I need a little time to recoup.
Do you like jot down lyrics at all or anything like that, or just like ideas?
Sometimes, yeah. I'll put down like an idea for a lyrical theme, or like if I hear a certain phrase and I'll like how it sounds, I'll write it down. But pretty much I'm always responding to music. I'm listening to a new song a zillion times in my underwear at the computer and just vibing out on it for the most part, just kind of like trying to imagine what kind of vibe it's putting forward. And then, I'll write lyrics to it, and I try to make the lyrics fit every moment of the song musically. If there's a climax in the music, I try to have the lyrics be right there on time with it and kind of like maximize, like, hopefully, like a storyline and a kind of full vibe, to really try to sync things up between what's happening musically and what I do lyrically. And it's a challenge to work in that format, to work around a 3 or 4 minute song. And, but it's something I like. It's something I've gotten used to over the years, and I enjoy being creative with the band and the challenge of writing. And it's definitely fun for me.
Well, you guys keep crushing it. Like Chris said, 9th record. Like, it kind of blows my mind. It's like, I feel like a lot of bands, like we actually just talked to Paulo from Trivium. I brought back that kind of, they never like fell off like Trivium. Like they're like main support headliner, even at like, but it feels like they almost had a resurgence. Like these last 2 records have been bangers. But I feel like it's almost like you guys didn't have to have that. You guys are just like, I feel like you guys have just been on a somehow constantly getting better always and just getting bigger shows. Like, and for having such a long career, it's like, how do you feel about it? Do you feel the same way? Because it feels like it just never stopped growing for you guys.
Yeah, I definitely feel that too. It feels like a slow climb or like a snowball that began with the first record. And we've been very fortunate, to survive the kind of coming and goings of different generations of like, now kids are coming up to me at our shows and they see me as an old wizard, like there's kids that are half my age going to our shows now. Whereas once upon a time, Black Dahlia Murder was sold as this really young band, this really young up and coming band. And so it's cool. We thought globally from the beginning, we wanted to be like, have a presence, not just here in the States, but also elsewhere in the globe. And we wanted to last, and we looked to bands like Cannibal Corpse, and Cannibal Corpse had to survive that, like, the end of the 90s, and I think that was really the hardest time for extreme metal and the kind of time where it kind of went back underground. And you had labels like Earache that were like trying to branch out very desperately, and they were like selling like Jenkos and shit like that. It was a weird time for everybody and a weird time for this. Like, so, we knew that metal's popularity was going to come and go and waves, and, that we would have to try to kind of claw our way through the dark times. But, we've been very lucky to be a part of sort of what feels like a renaissance for metal, over the last 10 years or so. It's just been really big. I feel like it's a lot bigger than it was when I was in high school. I felt like very alone as a kind of black clad weirdo at my school, but I feel like now it's like, it's become more commonplace. And, I think that largely the world has kind of woken up to horror. You see horror is much more in pop culture than it was in the 80s, for example.
Yeah, it's not as weird.
It's not, you have like zombie shows like Walking Dead being some of the biggest shows on TV.
Still going too.
Yeah, still going, and I think that's kind of changed the climate for metal in a way, and also the internet becoming so popular and kind of desensitizing the world en masse.
Yeah, you can find anything online.
yeah, I feel like you accidentally find shit porn by the time you're 7, probably now. And your first word is probably fuck, and like the landscape has changed since the 90s, and since Butchered at Birth having that crazy impact where, getting it in your hands back then felt like the biggest piece of contraband. And you're like, how can you but now, like, the world has turned and kind of taken the piss out of the shock value of metal in a way. And there's that. But, I think that that metal has just been in this huge upswing for the last while. We've definitely felt it as a band. And it's been exciting to be a part of it. Yeah.
When did you feel like the band, like Black Dahlia Murder, was actually like on like a, on your way up? Like, when did you realize like, oh wow, like this is actually taking off now, the band?
I mean, it started with the first record, actually. They started to get a lot of excitement in the press, and we got some good tours back then off the first record. Metal Blade really put a lot of faith in us, and they kind of like helped introduce us to Cannibal Corpse and the idea of Cannibal taking us out, which they would do like about 10 different times by now, which has been amazing. All over the world we've toured with those guys. But it felt like stuff was happening right from the first record, man. And
that's such a good feeling, right?
It was crazy. There was a big jump with the second album because Metal Blade put a lot of money behind us getting on Ozfest, which was something I had never predicted for the band. I thought the band would stay underground, and I never thought that we'd be on something so commercial, I guess. But, we were alongside a lot of our heroes on that tour, Soilwork, Arch Enemy, Shadows Fall, In Flames, a lot of our early influence.
Damn, dude.
Banger.
It was cool. It was definitely cool to befriend those guys. And I remember when we got invited up on the Haunted bus, and they said that they liked our band. And, that's coming from the At the Gates twins there. So that was like the highest honor that we could have imagined at the time. And
the greatest day ever.
Yeah, really.
It was.
Haunted.
But really, the biggest change was all of a sudden we were getting all kinds of press, and we were in the magazine next to a lot of the big metalcore bands at the time, As I Lay Dying and Unearth and stuff like that, and I never really saw us as metalcore, but we were lucky to kind of get in on that wave and kind of like get in the same sentence as a lot of those bands, which was big for us. And then like the third record was another big jump, man. Nocturnal was like
yes,
a big in quality as far as music goes. That was when we started to use Pro Tools to make demos. And the guitarist, at the time, Brian was like the main songwriter. He still is, but back then he wrote 99% of everything. And, him moving over to doing it in Pro Tools rather than kind of us all sitting together in a practice space and just kind of like throwing shit at the wall. There's something to be said about writing like that too. I kind of missed that. I definitely had more input back then on the first two records, and we would all be writing together, but it was also a pain in the ass, man. You'd be, all playing different songs all at the same time. And, there was a lot of fleeting kind of ideas and, just like kind of, Brian isolating himself and using Pro Tools basically allowed him to like flesh his ideas out to a new level of quality. And that would set the standard for how we've done everything since then. You know what I mean? And, it was just the perfect storm of macabre elements lyrically that people wanted from us. Kind of a return to what we did lyrically with Unhallowed, whereas Miasma was a slight departure and went into more personal territory. So people were excited about that. And the artwork was, the first time we could afford to do what we wanted. The graphic design for the first two albums is basically pretty forgettable and pretty cringy, like looking back. Now,
I don't know.
We didn't have the means to get what we wanted, really. And that was the first time we were able to get that kind of artwork and establish, like, the look for Black Dahlia Murder that we wanted. And I think that's
still my favorite. Still my favorite. That T-shirt.
It's in a lot of people's favorite, man, and I get it. I totally get it. I think it's a great record. It sounds great still. And it would become the blueprint for a lot of what we are still doing, you know what I mean? But like that moment when that came out was like the perfect storm for us. And it saw us being able to headline Summer Slaughter, which you see in the Majesty DVD. Like all the footage from us hanging out is pretty much from that Summer Slaughter. And that saw us above Cataclysm, Cryptopsy, Despised Icon, Whitechapel when they were first starting out, Aborted, Psychroptic, basically like a dream tour for us guys. And we were on the top of it, and it was working, So like that was just a big jump in popularity between those three records, and that was like probably the best time, man. Like the best time in the band. It was just a time of celebration and excitement, and being in a bus for the first time in the States, and just being like, wow, this is amazing. But it's really felt like a snowball with every release, Some releases have done better than others, I think, overall, but they all did what we needed them to do for the band.
Yeah.
And, it's amazing to have so much momentum coming out of Nightbringers and then going into this new record. They both hit really hard, and people seem to like them both a lot.
Oh yeah.
And they mark kind of a new creative era with Brandon coming into the fold and what he's brought to the band. And he's just brought so much style, I think, to the band, and he's really kind of given us more confidence to be creative and more discerning, I guess, about what we do. Kind of really putting stuff under a microscope, and he just has a really unique way of looking at music and way of looking at songwriting, and he's really stepped into this incredible role in the band where we trusted him to he was largely in charge of the mixing of Nightbringers. He wasn't doing it himself per se, but he was the guy that knows the most about studio and is requesting different frequencies be tweaked and stuff like that. And it's great to have that guy in your band. And he did such a great job with that. He wanted more responsibility this time, so he tracked largely most of the album at his place. We had us all come out there one by one, and we recorded at his studio, his home studio in New Jersey, which just
Strnad Light District, right?
Yeah, Strnad Light District, man.
Where is that in Jersey?
He lives in Morristown.
Okay, yeah, because we're from Jersey too, so that's why I was wondering. I was like, where is it?
Yeah, he's in the woods in New Jersey. It's it was a very nice experience to do that. As the singer, to kind of get in the mode where you're going to belt it out in front of somebody that you don't know, kind of takes a little bit of courage. And this way it was very easy. And it just gave us way more time to kind of tweak the details and to retrack things and to really consider. Damn it, Dad.
That's awesome.
I just think the end product came out better for it, and I think that's going to be like the new process for us to record things under Brandon's watch. And
he produced the whole record with you guys, right?
Yeah.
That gave you guys more liberty. Like, do you rather have someone outside kind of tell you what to do?
We've given production credits to people, but I wouldn't say that we've ever really been produced by anyone outside of what Brandon did. We're very anal retentive. We come to the studio with everything written. Everything's demoed out. There's really, little room for change, and we're so just anal retentive about what we do. We haven't really trusted anyone to kind of do what you would call full-on production, where you give them your demos and they help you rewrite parts and like suggest different melodies and stuff. And we've never really done that. You know what I mean? We're too controlling for that. Yeah. But we did definitely trust Brandon here. I think that, it just was the right thing to do. And I see us doing it again for the next albums too in the future.
Was it kind of weird? I feel like it's not weird for being a big band, but it seems like you just guys got better people every time. For every time there was a spot, like a drummer fell out, you got like Shannon, and then drummer fell out, you got like,
that was sick.
It just like every guy, like, it's just like, it kind of blows my mind. It seems like somehow, like, I was a big fan of, well, now I forgot his name, but who was the last guy?
Ryan Knight.
Ryan, yeah, I was a huge fan of Ryan back in the day, and I remember, I guess I stopped like following the news cycle for like one album maybe, and I just kind of got the album, listened to it, and I remember I saw you guys live, and I just saw Brendan. I was like, where the hell did he go? Like, I was like, Ryan's gone. I was like, oh my god. And then I just like watched a few of Brendan's videos. I'm like, this guy is an animal. Like, he just knows what he's talking about, and he just his fingers just sound good. He's just one of those guys. You could probably pick up a Hello Kitty guitar and just rip out some like massive sounds. It's like, how do you guys do it? Like, where'd you find this guy?
He was actually the first choice suggested by Ryan Knight when he was going to step down. Oh, wow. And Ryan did us a huge solid. He told us he was leaving the band a year and a half before he actually left. Oh, so we could have as much time as possible to make the seamless change into somebody else. So Brandon had a year to like sit with the songs, which he didn't need at all. I mean, he's pretty much virtuosic at what he does. But at the time he came to play his first show with us, it was just like absolutely seamless. You know what I mean? And in a lot of ways, they're cut from the same cloth of influence. They're both very much children of like Ozzy's guitar players, and kind of looking at the Shrapnel Records roster from the 80s, and very rock oriented kind of dude. You know what I mean? So I think that Brandon has kind of cranked that influence up a little bit more than Ryan did, but it was definitely like it felt natural to bring Brandon into the band in terms of influence. And, even though he's very young when we first got him, he's still pretty young. He's wise, he's just wise beyond his years about music. And he doesn't like the same stuff that a normal person in their mid-20s into metal does, you know what I mean? Like his favorite bands are like Yes and Kansas, and he's a really progressive kind of dude in what he likes musically. And man, he's just been like just a major asset, coming in, and he's brought so much positive energy and creativity that it's just been a really exciting era for us, definitely.
Well, it killed me because I think he's the same age as me, which I'm like, fuck, what have I done? Like, this guy's, I just watched one interview and he just mentioned, like you said, he mentioned all these old school guitars and he's just ripping it out. And I think it was like on the same, like he recorded a Verminous playthrough, and then it was like an interview of his favorite riffs. I was like, well, how old is this guy? It's like, shit. It's like, I'll start a podcast. I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'll do.
That's how I feel too. I'm like, what do I do that well? Like, what?
He's so good. He's like cutie pie. He's a cutie patootie too. It's like, can this guy be like a foot or something? Can this guy be ugly? Something, add something onto it. He can't be talented, good looking, and a nice guy. This is unreal.
The complete package.
He's definitely the total package. It's hard not to be jealous of the guy, even being in the band with him.
Can we get like a death metal bachelor? He just like just a bunch of like gauged out girls with just like grotesque t-shirts like vying for him. Can we just get that? I think he's married, isn't he? Maybe he's got a girlfriend.
Yeah, he's married, but for sure.
That's so good.
That'd be unreal. Well, actually, I wanted to bring up because I remember like I loved your Majesty DVD. Like when it first came out, I got it and I watched it like all the time. I thought
you made me watch
awesome.
it so many times, dude.
Oh yeah, I made this guy definitely watch it at the time because like I was like, wait, I forgot how old I was. But I remember my brother, my brother or one of his friends talked to one of you guys on the time. And I always wondered what you guys felt like, because it felt like it did the job of making you guys very personable, make like everyone feel like they know you, even though they clearly don't. But have you guys like, what were like some of the negatives from that DVD where it felt like you feel like that problem, like people come up to you acting like they're your friend, but you're like, I don't know you, dude. Like, why are you getting so comfortable right off the bat?
There's a little bit of that kind of after the DVD. Really, the most annoying part was people saying stuff from the DVD to us that we just things that we said on the fly that, we might not even remember that we said, you know what I mean? And then like the other consequence of it was when we started to change members, people got like extra butthurt about it because there was this different element where they got to watch the DVD over and over. And they did feel a kinship with these certain people. So when we started taking them out of the Black Dahlia Murder TV show, you know what I mean? Like people started getting pissed off. So it ended up biting us in the ass a little bit. But initially, like it was such a huge thing to put that out, and it did make people feel like they knew us, which is what we wanted. We wanted to give them a glimpse of our kind of sense of humor as a band, our kind of sense of camaraderie. And what you see there is that tour we were talking about earlier, that Summer Slaughter tour, which was like, one of the most exciting times in the band's history. And you can see just how excited we all are. And, there's a real tangible kind of energy and happiness and excitement, surrounding the band then. So, I'm very glad that time got captured on video for sure.
Well, it's definitely one of the best like band DVDs ever. Also, I feel like bands kind of stopped making those DVDs. Around that time, I think you guys like one of the biggest DVDs, and then it just became live concerts again. I feel like
pretty much, yeah. We tried to do a DVD afterwards, and it didn't really come out the way we wanted to. A, and then B, the climate had just changed for DVDs, and we didn't sell as many copies of Fool 'Em All as we'd hoped. And then, by now it's kind of like bands are going live on so many different outlets now, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and everything else. So it's kind of like rendered the home DVD in a way, and which is unfortunate, there has been talk about doing something else like that, but I'm not sure if they'll ever pan out for that reason. It's just kind of like become archaic, sadly.
Yeah, it bums me out because I remember like Kill Dahlia was always like one of my favorites. Then you guys finally came out. I was like, I got another one. I get to watch another Walk With Me. Like, I'm like a big Lamb of God fan. So like when you guys came out, it was like another great DVD. I always loved the band DVDs when there was a good one and you just like watch. I don't know, I'm a big fan of people. Like Chris knows, we talk about in the podcast. So when I'm a fan of a band or a person or anything, like I love watching all the content. I like the music. I like the playthroughs. The T-shirts, like that's where my nerddom comes from. I just collect all the stuff, and I remember fooling them all because I remember I went to Warped Tour, and it was like one of the points you guys made, or you made specifically. It's like man, there's actually like never any death metal on Warped Tour. Like there's deathcore and these core bands, all these hardcore bands, but it's like straight death metal. Like it was like what was it? You said like people's faces they made faces. Like what is this? Like what? It's like it's fucking death metal. Check it out. Like I remember that. I was like. Yeah, it's true, because I remember being there. It's kind of weird seeing how many circle pits were going and stuff. I was like, yeah, it does feel different. It's not as much like karate kicks going around. So I was a big fan of that DVD. I bought that. Don't worry.
It was different. That was an experiment for us to be on a Warped Tour. It was like ground that we hadn't treaded. And, Warped Tour is like the first tour that parents like let their kids go to. And it was one of the first things I was allowed to go to without parental supervision. So we were looking at it through that lens kind of, and there was nobody else remotely like us on the lineup. So we kind of became this freak show that attracted a bunch of people that were just curious something different and kind of like, let's go check out a death metal band. Why not? We're fucking here and they're playing.
Yeah, so, right next to a DJ. It's just like, you just like go by dance music and then you just see circle pit galore. Like just.
Yeah, well, that's what it was like, man. It was like, just being ambassadors for extreme music in this kind of weird climate. But it was a big success, man. We were in front of thousands of new people every day. And that was really the goal, We didn't change what we did to go there. We went as Black Dahlia Murder. We went on stage. We played music how we always play it, and, we swore our asses off and we're drunk idiots as usual. And, yeah, man, there's some people that gave us slack for doing that, but, I don't
promoter
really
side or like fans?
There were some fans that didn't want to do something that corporate, or, there's fans that have cried sellout about us like 100 different times. So it's something that I'm used to. And the band has gotten way bigger than I ever imagined. It's broken down a lot more barriers than I'd ever imagined. Like I said, I never saw us being able to be on a tour like Ozfest or Mayhem or something like that. But, there's people that would argue that what we do isn't even death metal, which whatever, it has been to me. But I don't care what people call the band. As long as they like the band, I don't care if they call it metalcore, deathcore, or whatever, dude. And I see people out in each crowd that fit the bill for those kind of genre tags and maybe see us as those. And I don't care, as long as they like what we do, you know what I mean? So, and I feel like in a way the band has been able to kind of transcend the glass ceiling of what a normal death metal band can do, like we're very lucky in that regard. So, I don't know what Black Dahlia Murder is. I don't really care what it is, as long as people like it. I mean, I know what it means to me. I know that it's, made with a love for death metal, and the influence musically comes from metal. And, so we're just thankful to be here, thankful to be successful. And, I do see our crowd as a definite melting pot of people. And, the genre fight that follows Black Dahlia Murder is still kind of going on. And as basically anytime anyone posts about us online, there's like, a 10-page genre fight that follows. But I don't really care, man. That's just how it is, how it's been. And, as long as people like the band, I don't really care what they think it is. So.
I gave up genre so long ago. Yeah. Like, ask Chris, anytime, like, it pisses me off. That's like Like where it's like, hey man, this metal band, they're actually like this and this and that. It's like, dude, I don't care. Like they're good. Like I don't know. Like I just see you guys as death metal, but I will say you guys are the most interesting death metal because like I love death metal, but there is a point where like there's a certain sect of death metal where it just kind of beats you over the head at certain points. Where I feel like you guys sound really death metal, but there's something like a groove in there. There's something, even though you guys got tons of blast beats, you got all the skank beats, all the thrash beats, but it's like I feel like there's a groove in there. Like that's why like so maybe that's where it is, but like you guys aren't like a core band. I don't freaking know. Again, I agree. Yeah, genre fights are stupid as hell. Also, I appreciate that you guys can open for a band like Meshuggah and then go open for a band like was it a Black Label Society?
Yeah, I want to ask you about that tour, dude. How was
insane.
it? Because you played with Alien Weaponry too. Like those are three very different bands. I got to see you guys at the Montclair Walmart, so it was really interesting.
It was definitely interesting to be on. Like the Meshuggah tour was a complete success, and we went over better than I actually had imagined we would, and that was awesome. Going into Black Label Society was different. There were a lot of people at those shows that just wanted no part of us at all.
Oh man,
there were a lot of people that like were up in the front, like at the rail, just waiting for Black Label and just kind of like rolling their eyes at us, you know. And but you have to look at how different our two bands are. Yes, Black Label has some heavy parts and some heavy songs, but they also have like 5 songs in their set where dude just sits at the piano and plays.
Yeah.
So like, how far from Black Dahlia Murder can you get? You know what I mean? Like we're asking a lot for people to kind of to get into the band, but we did make new fans. There were still a lot of people that were open to us, but as far as like being a completely successful experiment, I wouldn't call it that. You know what I mean? At least some hard days on stage where we weren't getting the response that we wanted, and it's like it was just a completely different walk of metal, really, that we were kind of like. But like that's what we'll do, you know. Like that's kind of what it has encouraged certain people to call us sellouts, you know, that we will kind of do stuff that's outside the typical box for death metal, you know, and we've realized the kind of appeal this band weirdly has to people, you know, all different genres and different, you know, like it's a very extreme band, but like you were saying, it's still very musical, you know. We try to have very strong songs, and it's very musical and very melodic, and I think that that's kind of like what's helped us kind of transcend that ceiling of being so extreme, and you know, it still has accessibility to people, you know. But I think that we went over a lot of people's heads on that tour, which is, you know, understandable. And
you would do it again, though, right?
Yeah, I would do a tour like that again, and we'll do tours like that again in the future. You know, we're not afraid to branch out and try some different things. Like, you know, as weird as it may sound, when we went out with the Insomnium, it was another tour like BLS. We were met with a lot of indifference, and we were met with a lot of people that were not pleased to see us there.
So
I was surprised by that, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, if you're just looking at the genre tag, we're under the same umbrella, you know, melodic death metal. But as soon as the drums started going full blast, that was the divisive kind of part for a lot of in the crowd to just be like, no way, dude, this is not for me, you know. Whereas Insomnium just cruises at this kind of comfortable mid pace with a lot of like kind of crash riding beats behind them.
Oh yeah, snare on 3.
Right. It's a lot more. It's a lot more digestible. It's a lot more radio friendly, I guess. And there was a lot of people in the crowd that were not, you know, that were not ready for that. So, like, you know, when we were in the planning stages, I was like, yes, finally a bigger melodic death metal band wants to take us out in Europe, you know, but this wasn't the right combo. But, you know, I had no idea that we were going to be met with any kind of resistance at all. But we were definitely too intense for a lot of their crowds. So yeah, you live and you learn with those kind of experimental tours like that. You know?
How long does it take you to realize, like as a singer, how long does it take you to realize like how much of the audience is just not feeling? Like when you went out for Black Label Society, you were like, right there, that battle vest with all the Aussie patches, that dude is just chugging vodka and doesn't want no part of this. Like he's just in the vest.
Dude, it's easy to tell. It doesn't take long to find out, man. You definitely find out the first show, and you're like, okay, I guess this is going to be an uphill battle. You know what I mean? And we've done plenty of tours where, especially in the early days where we were fighting to get our name known and we were fighting against different misconceptions about the band. And, look at a tour like us with King Diamond. There were a lot of people that didn't want us to be on that tour. And there were some physical altercations with the crowd sometimes. And people hurling insults and bottles and spit and other things. And they didn't want to see a short-haired metal band
obsessive.
like that. It was to, in a way, we were kind of like at the forefront of getting out there as an extreme band and having a not typical metal look. So we took a lot of abuse, in the early days. And like, we're no strangers to conflict while we're playing or, people like having to win people over, you know what I mean? It was definitely something we had to deal with a lot in the early days. But so, getting back to that and having to win the crowd over, I think we made a lot of converts. But there were some people that just didn't want to hear it, that didn't want any part of it. And there was a lot of older folks, man. There's definitely more old folks at that show than there would be at a Black Dahlia Murder show. And you could see it was fun sometimes to kind of bum out an entire family at once. And you see like a generation, like the grandparents and the kids and their little kids all hate us.
It's like the opposite of the one video I saw. I forgot what band it was, but it's like, it's nice to come here. I got my grandpa, I got my kid. We all love this band. It's like the complete opposite. It's like, grandpa, got my kid. We all hated that fight. That band sucks. It's like, damn it. No, it's like the sad version of that. Fuck. Oh man, dude.
Awesome.
Also weird to get assaulted by King Diamond fans. Like, it's such a bunch of kids yelling in falsetto vocals at you as you're just like trying to play your music.
It's mostly older dudes, very typical kind of patch-clad leather vests and
one too many beers.
One too many beers. Didn't want any part of these core kids coming around and poison their scene or whatever. But
luckily, you had a good showing at Montclair. Like when I saw you in Jersey, I feel like every time you hit New Jersey, New York, you guys had a great crowd. The pit was always going. No matter what, you guys were always doing good.
Oh yeah, that show in Montclair was especially good for that tour. We definitely got the crowd going at that one. The venue was cool. I enjoyed the little town there too. Pretty fun.
Yeah. I saw you guys walking up and down at Max too, walking like right by the crowd before, like when we were all lined up waiting to get in.
Yeah, man. Got to people watch the crowd. It's definitely fun.
Definitely.
That's the thing is like, actually, well, I guess you're really good friends with Justice, so we always like to ask this question too.
Oh, then Impress Me Bro?
Well, the Impress Me Bros are one thing, which I see them all the time, but the Punishers. I remember when I was at Meshuggah, I went and just stopped by to get a drink, and I saw one dude punishing you harder than I've ever seen someone get punished. This dude was like slapping you on the back and just wailing. He's like, dude, Trevor, what's up? And then finally I saw you give him like 3 back. What's up, man? Stop hitting me, dude. Like, this guy was gone.
Are my personal favorites, the backslappers.
Oh,
the backslappers, the drunk guys that are just spitting all over your face when they're talking to you. And, I try to take everything in stride. I try to be that guy that reaches out and talks to fans and is available to fans, but it does invite some punishment sometimes. And I know that I, too, have been a punisher to bands that I like, where I was totally shit-faced, probably slobbering all over them. And... so I've been there. I've been on both sides of the coin. I get it.
Oh, dude. I'm worried because usually, like, I've gotten a lot better at it, but man, I usually suck when I talk to anybody I remotely like. So that's why, like, I just ask, hey, can you give me a picture? You're great. And I just get out because I know if I sit there, I'll just ask all the dumb questions that probably end up slapping you on the back. And I'm like, oh, man. But what is, like, your top, like, Punisher moment that comes to the top of your head? Like, when you think of, like, the last tour? This is the guy that just like, oh man, I got to get away from this dude. Can someone grab me for an interview or something?
Man, I can't think of the last guy specifically, but usually it'll end up being somebody that's just had too much to drink that just can't like really gauge their enthusiasm level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we try to be cool to everybody, but there's sometimes where we got to send people away. But for the most part, You know, I'm remembering like a guy that wanted me to punch him in the face. There was a guy that wanted me to spit on him.
Yeah, you actually shared that last time we talked when we were at Starland.
There was a guy that asked me to bang his girlfriend, which was
there you go.
That only happened. I didn't follow through, but
like I would sign your CD. You want me to like sign your like girlfriend, bro? Like what the fuck? Like, so right on her stomach, right below the tits, please. Can you just do that for me, buddy? It's like, thanks, you're my favorite singer. It's like, no, what the fuck? Get away from me.
Signing babies was always a weird one too. Like I asked people, I think it was 12-Foot Ninja and I think it was Paulo from Trivia, and they're like, yeah, they bring their babies to get signed. It's kind of weird. We don't do that. We take a picture with them, but you know, it's weird.
I don't think I've signed like a baby. Like I've taken pictures with babies and shit. I think it's kind of fucked up to bring your baby to a show, actually.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
To bring any of your like very young kids, man, just too loud for them, man. You know,
well,
what
you
I'm
see
saying?
them sometimes with the thing
Yeah.
on and up and stuff like that.
But yeah, I think it's kind of a weird situation to force your little kid into it.
Actually, I think there was
Especially
like 2 or 3 at the Black Label show, and I think the drummer threw a stick at him. Black Label's drummer, which I'm
Just hits
blaming
a
right
kid
now.
right in the face.
Well, no, that's what I was thinking too, but he threw it out to the crowd. Hopefully the dad caught it or something.
That's cute, and that's like in good faith, you know. But I feel like some people bring their kids to shows in the hopes of getting more attention. You know what I mean? Kind of using their kid as a vehicle to get to the front of a certain line, or you know, like
there's definitely that.
Get that drumstick thrown their way. You know, I definitely see some of that out there.
They take it
Because
from
the kids don't
hand.
care. Oh well, the kids don't care. I've never seen a kid that actually like, or they just have their mouth open, just like looking around, just while the parents are rocking. It's like, yeah, they're not here. You're not. They don't even know what's happening. Like,
Right.
They just smell really bad things and look at a bunch of really, really haggard dudes just running in circles, just like.
Well, I want to break into another segment we have, and this one was kind of meant for you because we know you're the huge death metal guy. Do you still do your blog with Metal Injection or Metal Sucks?
It's Metal Injection. I don't do it the format that I used to do. I just do a playlist every month for Spotify. Yeah. It's 100 times easier for me to curate. It's kind of a bummer though, because it's like, ultimately I want people to buy these albums, but I'm handing them like a streaming playlist, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a catch-22 in a way. But, you know, my hope is that people kind of take the initiative to go check out the albums further and buy stuff from the bands. And really, I just got sick of doing the writing element of it, you know? Like, I can only say, like, this, like, rips your fucking eyeballs out with a pitchfork, you know? Like, so many times, you know? I was writing about 30 bands a month, and it just became... It became so much homework, you know, for $60 pay. You know, I wasn't doing it for the pay, but it was just too much of a workload, and that was my fault. You know, I bit off too much doing it in that format. But yeah, I'm all about like spreading the gospel and, you know, getting people aware of new bands that are out there. And really, I just saw such a hole in metal media for the bands that I particularly like. You know, especially online, where I was just like, am I in a different scene than these other metal? Like the shit that I like up here. So that was kind of the impetus for me doing that, you know, and I was already buying a zillion albums a week. You know, so it's, I was already doing that end of it, you know, so just kind of to talk about it and kind of give a voice to all these small bands. And, you know, they said at the height of it, it would get like 10,000 hits. So, like, that's a lot of exposure for a small...
Yeah, it is a lot.
You know, and especially brutal death metal, I felt like was largely voiceless in terms of magazines, you know? Like, you barely see it in Decibel magazine. They kind of turn a blind eye to it. You barely see it in all these other outlets. So, and in actuality, the scene is bigger than it's ever been right now in brutal death metal. So, I especially felt kind of obligated to give a voice to that scene, you know, so I definitely covered a lot of brutal death metal releases. And, you know, overall, it's been a really great experience. You know, it got me connected with a lot of bands that I like. You know, I ended up getting a lot of free stuff, which was cool.
Free things are always great.
people sent me T-shirts or whatever, as thanks for like getting them some exposure, which was cool. And it's just like was something that was good for my soul, basically, to give back to the scene that I get so much inspiration from. And it's been a good look for the band to kind of show that we care about the scene that we come from, the underground that we come from, and we're not too selfish to just to show people other music that's good. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of bands out there that are too afraid to be like, check out this other band. They feel like they're going to give up their own fans, when in actuality, the fans are just thankful to be, that I'm out there doing the Lord's work, and trying to spread the gospel a little bit, So I think it's been a good look for the band overall. It's something that I just enjoy, I'm always trying to fly the flag, basically.
Well, what do you have right now? What would you say is like your top 5 death metal bands that you're currently listening to, or maybe top 5 tracks that you're currently really into?
I'm definitely loving everything coming out on Maggot Stomp Records. So Mortal Wound I've been really into. Frozen Soul, I believe they just got picked up by Century Media.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
It's a big label.
So, yeah, for sure. So, I think that trend is going to continue. I think that Maggot Stomp is just like kind of at the forefront of finding these really sick, old school flavored bands. The Malignant Altar record is in the cards now. I think that's going to be like their biggest band. They have members from Insect Warfare. And just great old school death metal. I think that their LP, when it drops, is going to be fucking enormous. Defeated Sanity. I've been loving the new Defeated Sanity record. They should be no surprise to anybody that likes brutal death metal. To me, they're the absolute kings of the genre. Also, the new Devangelic has been really good. I've been liking that a lot. I haven't really been floored by that many brutal death metal albums in the last couple years. It seems like there's sort of a drought in creativity as far as I can see, but there are still some big names that are putting out really quality stuff like those that I mentioned.
Do you look on like Bandcamp for some of these bands? Because I feel like Bandcamp has a really good death metal selection. At least like I think they put out something on Friday, like all their new albums that came out, and there's a lot of death metal on there.
Bandcamp is a great outlet. I would encourage any young band to use Bandcamp as a platform. I will buy shit from Bandcamp before any other avenue because I love when you can get a physical copy thrown in the mail and you get the instant download. I'm a flat guy, so I get my fucking CD quality files right away. And it's a great place to find new bands and stuff, to follow every label you like, follow every band you like. But like, I'm not a Bandcamp exclusive guy either. There's some people that like only listen to stuff that they bought on Bandcamp and only buy stuff that pops up in Bandcamp. And I'm not that guy, I'm not the exclusive streaming guy either. Like any route that will get me to being aware of this music so I can purchase it is basically my method. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I agree 1,000%.
I have a Facebook, like, I have to have a personal Facebook to run the band page. Like, they won't let you just be the band or whatever.
Okay.
But I don't have any interest on being on Facebook personally, so I have basically this blank account where I don't have any friends and I don't put any pictures up or I don't post anything, but I do follow every fucking label out there, big to small, every band I like. And so basically, like, when I want it, I have this constant stream of information and new releases coming in with no bullshit kind of like clouding it. You know what I mean? So that's been very helpful. It's pretty smart for me to kind of to stay on top of what's happening. And really, like, once you're super into it and all the labels, all the small labels, and like which ones put out good stuff, it's like, it's easy to kind of stay on top of it, like my blinders are on to like this like basic bitch like metal that comes out all the time that I don't really care about that kind of thing, I'm like laser focused on death metal and the underground and what I like. and I kind of put my blinders on for the rest of it, So
you just said that like one band popped out to me immediately when you said that, and I was like, oh my god, cringe.
Don't say it.
Yeah.
We like all bands on this podcast.
Yes.
Even Basic Bitch Bit. No, I'm kidding.
I'm not out to like put anybody down. I'm just out to like what I like, and if you like what I like, we're down.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because I feel like I feel like I had a few friends that are very critical on music, and they're like, dude, it's so hard to find good music. Like me, I feel like there's almost too much good music. Like I'm running out of time in day when I'm just like loading people up on like playlists and stuff. I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm working like just to get all this good tunes. I'm like, there's too much. Do you feel that?
If you're not in that state where you feel like there's too much good music, like you're just doing it wrong. You're not looking down the right avenues. You're not serious enough about it. You're like some people just sit and wait for someone to hand them what they're going to like. And then some people are active, and that's me. I'm that guy that's always, staying up on what's coming out, checking out new labels, checking out bands at a demo level. And that's just what I like. I like the underground, I like, it's just been a constant source of inspiration and a constant source of happiness for me. It's my favorite thing, really, going to shows and being plugged into the underground and collecting music. Right now I'm sitting in this room surrounded by around 4,000 metal CDs, roughly, my collection. And, that's really just a small fraction of all the stuff that I listen to, really. I'll never own everything I want, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it's fun to try, but definitely like the collecting aspect of metal. I like the, I do stream music too, and I find a lot of music from Spotify too, which is awesome in that way. But I feel responsibility to actually give money to the bands and, support by going to shows, buying merch, buying albums. And, it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just my hunger for new music just never seems to go away. My kind of childlike excitement for.
I'm with you. 1,000%. Actually, I think I spent more money being furloughed on music than I have in a long time. I'm like, well, all these T-shirts and all these CDs are coming out. Like, Daddy's got to go to work somewhere. He's got to work somewhere. It's not just giving other people money. Like,
the whole check goes to them.
Dude, my friend's been yelling at me. He's like, dude, why don't you save money? I'm like, I should, but 5 records came out this Friday, and Bandcamp's waiving the fee. So even if it's digitally, I got to buy something. It's like,
and they're doing it again on.
I
think 19
July.
Oh wait, is it tomorrow? I don't know. They're doing it. Yeah.
Whatever.
We don't know what day it is.
Someday. Yeah, Friday.
Awesome that they've been doing that. It's definitely a great incentive for more people to buy music, and has a great cause behind it. And like I said, I love Bandcamp. I definitely encourage a young band to get on Bandcamp and kind of fill that void of a record label for a while. And you have some bands that like have complete success independently. You have like Traders, for example, put out their own music. Shadow of Intent put out their own music, but they are big enough to where we took them on tour. You know what I mean? Like, they've had such a buzz through their own devices and selling their own shit. But like, like having a label might not be everything nowadays. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot you can do without it.
Especially if you're not good at business, you're like just end up. If you're a young kid that's talented, you might just be signing stuff you don't even understand.
Yeah.
So you're just like, you just make it all on like Spotify or Bandcamp. You just like get found on Spotify. You buy your vinyl or whatever on Bandcamp, and you go out on tour. It's all by yourself. It's like, that's kind of the dream, if anything. It's like, damn.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No other hands like getting between you and the revenue from like a CD sale. And it's awesome. I mean, if you can do it, that'd be incredible.
Do you usually go to shows in your like free time, like when you're not touring and you're like at home? Do you stop by like local death metal shows like St. Vitus or something like that?
Oh yeah, that was one of the main reasons I moved out here, was to be closer to a more active scene than Michigan, and it's definitely been that, man. There's so many shows here that you gotta like pick and choose, and the whole kind of scene revolving around St. Vitus is just really fucking awesome and really welcoming. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to come out here was to be like really plugged into a good scene and, to be visible as part of a bigger scene. And, there's also like a lot of label types out here, a lot of magazines based out here, a lot of press. It's just to be closer to that too has been advantageous.
Well, I'm so glad St. Vitus got that GoFundMe or Crowdstart, whatever it is. They hit their amount by like 5 times that amount or something crazy. I'm so glad, because if St. Vitus closed, I would be so bummed. I think that's my favorite venue right now, because it's like you can be really intimate with your bands. They have to go through the crowd. The sound's pretty good for something like that. You know what I mean? So
it's a black box. That's all it is. It's literally a black box with a stage and an amp. Like,
oh man, it would be such a bummer if that went.
Oh yeah, I love it, dude. It's the perfect venue. It has the perfect owners.
The beer's good too.
The beer's good. Beer. I like the bar. I like the atmosphere. It does sound good for what it is, definitely, which is awesome. And they just book great shit. I've seen so many great fucking death metal bands and like war metal bands, and they're definitely plugged into what's cool in the scene.
And big bands even go there too. Like Megadeth did their Secret Show, Trivium, Gojira. Like those are bands that wouldn't be playing those venues anymore.
Right? Yeah, it's definitely cool. Like to have like Megadeth roll through there and have Anthrax roll through and have Nirvana with a bunch of like guest singers, and they've done a lot of really crazy shows there.
Was Foo Fighters there too? They did Secret Show, or was that Irving or something?
I'm not sure actually.
Yeah,
that's pretty dope. When do we get the Black Dahlia Murder there though? When's that Secret Show happen? After the coronavirus thing?
Yeah, let's go.
I figured like we just do like 2 back-to-back shows there sometime on a tour. But I love it. I'd love to do it.
That'd be awesome.
We thrive in a smaller kind of environment like that live. Yeah. No security, no barrier. Those are my favorite kind of shows, where people can really do what they want to do. They can stage dive. They can get as close to me as they want, and I'll be able to shove the mic in their mouth to sing a part or yank them up on stage to stage dive. Those are my favorite shows for sure. So I could definitely see playing there, and it's something I want to do definitely when the time is right.
Speaking of stage diving, don't you hate when people can't commit to stage diving? They jump off and they go feet first. You're like, dick! So just wrangle everyone with their feet.
Yeah, can't go feet first, man.
Yeah, don't do that.
I was watching, what was it, the Slaughter to Prevail video, that Demolition video, and it's just like this big beard guy jumps in, just double kicks someone in the face. I'm like, dick, what an asshole.
His first time.
Man. As a big guy, I would never jump. I would never do it. I'm like, I'm going to spare all of you. It's like 280. I can't jump into you people. I'd feel so bad.
Yeah, I used to stage dive a lot, like while we were performing in the early days, but I definitely weighed a lot less. And I don't want to destroy anybody,
Yeah, right.
Trevor kills Superfan, and it's just like, oh.
Damn. Hurling all this man up in the air,
All right, let's break into this little fun segment. I don't know if you remember it from last time. It's called the 3 Random Silly Questions segment. Last time you shared your story about drinking pee in a Wawa bottle, so let's see what we have this time.
I get it.
Question number 1, what was the best tour prank you've been a part of or you just witnessed while being on tour?
It had to be when As I Lay Dying put a dead possum on our windshield.
Oh, dude.
All right.
It was a pregnant dead possum, and when they pinned it down with the windshield wiper, like some like weird fetal possums squirted out. So it was a very gross scene.
Album cover, maybe.
Yeah, right. Perfect album cover.
Some gore grind bands for sure. I really haven't been privy to or a part of many tour pranks, but that is the one that stands in my mind.
Damn, dude.
That just jumped over everyone else's. Jesus. Hey, how'd you like that pregnant dead possum, dude? See you at the next stop. It's like, thanks. Awesome.
Especially like we didn't realize it was them at first, because they were the Christian good boys. You know what I mean?
Oh, perfect cover.
Yeah, perfect cover right there.
They're too busy praying. They wouldn't do this. It's like,
no.
Well, what's that in your hands? What's that goop on your hands? Ah, shit. It's just like, they got us.
So you guys found it funny, right? No one was pissed, right?
Yeah, it was fine. Whatever.
Okay. Because there's some pranks that people get really pissed about, but then later on, like down the line, they're like, that was actually pretty funny.
Oh yeah, dude. All the smacking ones, like the shaving cream one, that's always one where if I ever see a video, I'm like, that's funny, but do you really want to get into a fist fight over a video? Because I feel like there's many people that don't get very happy getting smacked in the face. Like,
I probably get really pissed off.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I think weirdly a dead possum's better because you're just not touching anyone. Everyone's like, oh, who's gonna clean it off, gang? It's like shit. It's just like, who cleaned it off?
All right, question number 2. What is your biggest pet peeve on tour?
Biggest pet peeve on tour? Damn.
Too many?
I guess it's just the hurry up and wait, man. There's so much waiting around on tour. I think people don't realize how largely boring tour is. I mean, the show itself is fun and exciting, but everything leading up to it, man, is just a fucking pain in the dick.
Do you get time to go around the area at all? Like, or do you have to just sit in your bus or something, or the dressing room?
It depends. I mean, there's sometimes where we're able to go out and do stuff, and there's sometimes where we're not. And there's sometimes where you just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
But people are like, "Oh, you've been all over the world." I'm like, "Yeah, I've been in the spray painted alley of the world."
That's a great way to put it.
I've been to the Harpos of every city, in the world.
That must be a bummer when people they throw that in your face like, dude, you don't understand. I had to go to work. You're going to London. It's like, well, I didn't have time to go to London. I went through London technically. It's like I really didn't get to see it.
And there's a lot of especially when you're touring in South America or Australia or anywhere where you have to fly every day before the show. Those are the hardest tours. You'll be out, the show doesn't wrap up till, say, 1 a.m. You don't get back to your room till 3 a.m. Then you're up at 5 a.m. to get ready to go to the airport. So, by the end of one of those tours, you're just running on nothing, man. Yeah. No gas. So, those are definitely trying times.
Oh, man, that would break my whole soul. Speaking of being exhausted before the podcast started, I'd be dead. I'm like, I don't want to be a part of this band anymore. Just send me home.
Just quit.
I'm gone.
Jess, you want to take number 3?
Yeah, dude. Actually, this might be interesting. What's your go-to shower song? What do you sing in the shower, Trevor?
Beach Boys.
Oh, there you go.
That's awesome.
Sloop John B. That's definitely my shower song.
That's awesome.
I don't always take in the shower, but if I'm going to, it's usually that song.
What's your armpits cleaner? Just start ripping it. It's like, is that Beach Boys? He's like, yeah, Trevor's feeling himself. Literally,
make it into a nice little Black Dahlia Murder cover.
Yeah, man, I'm definitely way down with the Beach Boys.
Oh, speaking of covers, by the way, you did a really good cover of Sepultura for the Slay at Home Fest. That was really, really good, dude. You sounded just like Max.
Thanks, man. It was fun. It was fun to do a voice a little bit outside of what I do with Black Dahlia Murder. The other song was really fun, too, doing the Cannibal Corpse song from the Barnes era. So, yeah, it was very fun. I just tracked those at home. The Sepultura song I did in my underwear, actually, but you don't see me from the waist down, unfortunately.
You see those comments on YouTube? They were so good. One was like, can Trevor sing without a shirt on?
Can it happen? Is it possible?
I think I messed up. Dude, they're so good, those comments.
Man. Well, it's like, would you ever be cool with doing a cover album? Is that something you'd ever be down to? Or is it Black Dahlia not a cover album band? Yeah.
I don't know. I guess my instinct is that it's kind of cheesy.
What about a single or something for a B-side?
We did a Megadeth song with the new record. We did Go to Hell from the second Bill and Ted movie soundtrack. So that was fun. I mean, Megadeth's my all-time favorite metal band. They were my first love in metal. So it's definitely cool to do that. But as far as doing a full-on album of covers, I'm not sure if that's really for us.
Fair enough. As long as you keep putting out Black Dahlia Murder records, I'm cool. I guess I wouldn't be bummed out. I'd go to sleep tonight. Like, why is Trevor not going to do a cover album? Fuck.
Well, that was the random silly question segment. I hope you enjoyed that one. And this is something I realized too. I know Ritual is about to hit its 10-year anniversary. Do you guys have anything planned for that next year?
There might be like some merch, surrounding it, but as far as like doing a Ritual tour, I don't think that's in the cards. When you're putting out an album every 2 years, like you can't, start doing every anniversary that you have of, and we're not looking to be considered like a retro band like the Scorpions. It just depends on their old catalog.
Yeah.
But really, like the focus is the future. It's always going to be the future for us and new music and being a better band. And I'm proud of everything that we've done in the past, and of course we'll still play songs from all the old records live. And there's definitely a place for old songs to be in our set list for sure. But I don't want to be known as one of those bands that just rests on like their laurels of doing, kind of retro tours like that.
Do you think it hurts bands if they keep doing these album tours, or no?
Yeah, I think that it's just gonna, if we kept doing it, it would just take away from the focus of new music, I think, which is just not what we want to do. We want to be in the here and now.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're still growing as a band. I feel like we're still getting better at songwriting, so I feel like even though we're getting up there in age, as people, I see this as the beginning of a very creative era for the band. And, I see the band still growing and doing new things in the future. And I'm still excited to create the next music for the band. So that's just the focus. That's always been the focus. It would be a real easy cash in to make a Ritual tour, and go out and play the whole record and stuff. But, that's just not our focus, man. It's just, it's about like, about Verminous right now and kind of and tunnel visioning on that.
Well, that was like, I always appreciate bands that like their own music. So I appreciate when you did the Nocturnal 10-year anniversary, you did like, I think the tour after, you did a Nightbringers in full and like tour also, which is like cool. It's like you did the retro, like you said, like 10-year anniversary for Nocturnal, but then right after the brand new record you just released is like, fuck it, let's play that in full. Like I always appreciate like bands that do give their whole album its just due, because I know it's not always possible with all the singles you got that everyone wants to hear. All the big songs like Unhallowed or what a Horrible Night to Have a Curse, like all these like big songs. Like if someone doesn't play Death Mass Divine, it's just like, what the hell, bro? Where's Everblack? You didn't play it. It's like, yeah, but we got the other songs, right? It's like there's always that people at the show. It's like, you didn't play my song though.
Yeah, like at this point, we pretty much can't have the perfect set list that's going to please everybody.
Yeah.
There's, like you said, there's just too many albums now to choose from.
9 albums.
We try to represent our catalog the best we can, out there. But yeah, it was definitely cool to play Nightbringers all the way through. We hadn't played every song from the last 2 records before that. There's still songs from Abysmal that we've never played in person altogether. And songs from Everblack that we haven't played, period. So, it's kind of sad to have songs kind of fall by the wayside like that. And so, yeah, it was definitely cool to do a Nightbringers tour and, give every song its dues.
Which is always awesome. But I always wonder, especially for an extreme band like you guys, I'm always a big fan of the evening with. Like every band, I know not every band could do it because it's hard to get 500 to 1,000 or more people just for you. But would like Black Dahlia Murder ever do an evening with 2 hours, just like brutal? Or can your bodies just not handle that? Just playing 2 hours plus of just crazy death metal? Yeah.
I think that we're pretty much at our limit now. Headlining, we'll play for like an hour and 15 minutes, which is 18 songs. That's a lot of songs. Yeah. And by the end of that, man, I feel like a human potato chip, or like a pork rind. Just
my God.
Of all moisture.
He's just done.
So good.
As we've gotten older, with every album, the music is more complex. It's more difficult to play. So, it's kind of a masochistic thing to go and get up there and play that many songs, and it's kind of like destroying yourself, you know. But in a way, it's like, I don't know. I can't see us doing it any other way. You know, I kind of hate when bands get up there and just kind of phone it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No one likes that.
Definitely try to bring it and give our all. And, you know, in a way, you're like trying to destroy yourself with your own music, you know, playing it as hard as you can, as intense as you can, as passionately as you can. We're not satisfied with really anything less, you know. So, yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable with like giving a less good performance.
Oh, yeah.
Longer.
Frown during your songs. I've seen bands like that. It's like, here's the next song, whatever, count it off, Ron. It's like, this sucks. Like, I love this song. Why do they look like they hate their lives? Like, it's like, we paid money for this? This is awful. Yeah.
Well, before we let you go, Trevor, is there anything that you want to mention, anything upcoming that fans should be looking forward to, anything Black Dahlia Murder related you want to say?
We have a tour in the cards for Europe. That's going to be maybe our first tour back in action. We'll see. Europe is on track to open up before the States, so that's why we're doing that before hitting the States. But as soon as, you know, this thing opens up, we have a awesome tour lineup in the cards for as soon as it's possible for the States. In the meantime, check us out on social media. I've been on Twitch lately. So if you can't get enough Black Dahlia Murder, you can always come on Twitch. My name there is just Trevor Strnad. Watch, play Nintendo games and ask me Black Dahlia Murder related questions or metal questions or whatever. It's been really fun so far and a good way to connect with the fans in this kind of weird downtime. So that's pretty much it, man. Just thanks for everybody that picked up the record. We appreciate it a lot, and we'll be out on tour playing those new tunes as soon as we're allowed.
I can't wait. I was so bummed when that Testament tour fell out, and I was like, oh man. And then it's just like, and then it got real too. And then when the pandemic got like real, I was like, oh crap, it's really happening. I had a concert planned the day, like everything got shut down. And like selfishly, it's like, would I risk it? Maybe. And then just everything got shut down in the area. I was like, fuck. All right. There's just all that money. I left it all on the calendar. Did you do this? Did you have shows planned in your area and you just left it on your calendar and now it's like passing by and you're like, oh, there's another day that's just gone? Shit. You're like,
yeah, dude, I had tickets for a few things that ended up, you know, fizzling out. Really wanted to see Defeated Sanity opening for Origin. Had tickets for that. I had tickets for Cathealist. So yeah, it was definitely a big bummer. You know, it was a huge blow for us to lose that Testament tour. That was going to be the biggest tour opportunity we've had to this point, you know. So we lost a lot of record sales by not being out on tour during the first week and not being able to like be at the merch table making puppy dog eyes at people. And
shake
also,
a jar with a quarter in it, just like, please,
right.
More money.
Also, people weren't able to go to the store physically and buy records that first week, so we took a bit of a blow in that regard. But, you know, as far as like the other side of the coin, I think it was awesome to just have something to get people excited about during this, something to distract them, and that the album weirdly has a lot of thematic kind of similarities with what's happening right now in the pandemic and shit. Definitely helped it resonate with people. So I'm just thankful we had some kind of content to put out during this, so people aren't forgetting about us. You know,
that was very helpful. Glad that, because I literally had it marked on my calendar. It's like, please, I need, like, if I can't do anything, I'm just working at home at that point. And I was like, just can't wait for that Black Dahlia Murder. It was like my whole world for like the 2 weeks leading up to it. I was like, I need this in my life. No, it was awesome, dude. Thank you so much for showing up and hanging out with us, Trevor. I really do appreciate it.
No problem, dude. It's been fun.
Oh, it's awesome.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Right on, guys. Take care.
Trevor Strnad of Black Dahlia Murder.
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed that interview with Trevor Strnad of the Black Dahlia Murder. He was a pleasure to talk to. Someone I've been wanting to talk to for a long time now. I mean, I talked to him back when he came around in, I think it was 2017, but there's just so much to talk about with that guy, you know, death metal, just everything. So, Jesse, what'd you think?
That was awesome, dude. I think he's one of the greatest dudes in the metal scene. Like entirely. It's a shame other scenes don't have because technically metal is like a genre, but in reality everybody like sticks to their own. Like
Sticks
death
to
metal
their
kids stick
guns.
to that, metalcore kids stick to them. Then the genres break out into these all little like clans and stuff. Like it's almost like Naruto. There's like all these small little villages with just like thousands of like little tiny groups. And it's like I kind of wish I wish everybody had a Trevor Strnad because he's just like a dude that will go to the underground, like he says, and he'll search up. Like I needed a refresh on death metal. I tweeted him. I should have. I didn't really want to bring that up, but I tweeted him. I was like, "Hey man, you got like a top."
Bro?
Well, like, not even retweeted me. He's just like, "Hey, you got like a top 10 death metal like playlist of bands to like check out?" And he just tweeted me 10 bands and albums from those bands. He's like Suffocation, this album, Cannibal Corpse, this album, like Obituary, this album. I was like, "Thanks, easy," and I just had it. It was like 10, and they were all awesome. Like you know me, I love death metal. Like I love death metal. But there is a point where I almost conk out, and I didn't conk out of that. Somehow I was able to listen to that at 5 a.m. on the bus ride into work.
It's almost like Trevor knows what he's talking about.
Dude, well, that's why I wanted to go to him. Someone was like, "Why don't you ask me, bro? I love death metal." I'm like, "But are you Trevor?"
Yeah.
Because you know death metal, you like death metal, but Trevor kind of lives death metal.
He's an ambassador for like death metal.
He really is. If there was like a United Nations of metal, he would be. Weirdly, there's like older, like more like sage like dudes, let's say Corpse Grinder. Like he's like the all-seeing eye of like death metal. It's like he's like, oh, he's that guy, but it's like Trevor's like the guy. You bring him in, he's like we need a bigger cut of the pay of the news media, more death metal news media, like he was saying.
I can't believe he said that fans said that they called Black Dahlia Murder sold out. Like that blows my mind.
Of course. Death metal? Oh, dude, if you don't play inside VFW,
I feel like Black Dahlia Murder is usually like whenever you go somewhere, they're like always like, oh, this album's great. Their album's great. I really feel like I don't see that much bad press about Black Dahlia Murder.
Well, that's the problem, man. You're supposed to always stay small, and you're supposed to write the same album every time. And
going on the label is selling out, right?
Well, that's what I mean. Like every different tier. There's different tiers of like quote unquote selling out. So like the second you tour outside your city, you're probably a sellout. Like, all right, well, New York made you, bro. Where'd you go? Like, Michigan made you. Where'd you go? It's like, dude, the United States made you. Why'd you go to Europe? It's like Metal Blade. What? It's like
what happened to
the garage? Everyone know that. Yeah, it's like, dude, like what about that guy that retweeted you? They made you. It wasn't the label. It's like the scene made you, bro. What happened to Detroit's metal scene?
Yeah,
it's like. Whatever, but that's like why I agree with them 1,000%. Genres are great when you want to find people that you like. Like if you love metal, well, metalcore kind of is tough because there's so many, like everything. It's such a broad genre.
Very
broad. But like him, like brutal death metal. It's like Google brutal death metal, and you'll find all the brutal death metal bands. Like that was the cool thing about Periphery when they first came out in Gent. Even though Gent's like a stupid name, if you like that sound, put Gent, and you'll get all the technical, punchy guitar. Cool rhythms of music, death metal. And then you get like break it down. It's like it's stupid to me, but I understand when used positively, it's awesome. You can find an insane amount of music, but everyone uses it negatively. Sadly, it's like, dude, you gave up on black and death jazz and you suck. It's like whatever, man. Like it's like at the same time, so do we like music or do we like names? Like what are we saying here? Like because I think music is music, whether it be pop, jazz, death metal, black grindcore, or
I also hate the genres with like the post. That was post hardcore.
I don't understand that.
Oh no, the post metalcore. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I don't understand the post ones. I just know like under oath sounding bands are called post, right? I think I don't know. I suck. I'm not gonna get into that. Get yelled at on YouTube or something.
Well, this is from what I gathered from just like watching stuff. Like Killswitch Engage, Shadows Fall, like all their like them, they were like metalcore, and then anything that was like Asking Alexandria, that's like more post.
Yeah, who knows? I just
oh, okay.
I'll call whatever. Like me, if I like something, it's in there. I don't care if the whole friend group hates it, if everybody at the venue hates it. How many awful conversations have I gone to with people in lines where we start off cool and then like. They just like that last kid at Machine Head where he just insulted Lamb of God, and he wore every band that was like Lamb of God on his leather on his like denim vest. And I was like, you should. I even told him, I was like, you should like this band. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's like they make the same album. Dude, I'm not going to name names, but there's at least 3 bands on there on your vest that do the same thing. And you like them enough to go out of your way to stitch and iron their name onto your clothing. Not buy. You're not buying. That's work.
Yeah.
It's like, how dare you? You know, but it's like.
People like to hate, though. People just like to hate.
That is true. It's
easier
fun.
to be negative, you know?
Is it, though? I feel like it's bad for your soul.
Well, I meant just to say negative things, I guess.
That's true. Chris, you're cute. You look like you've been working out. There you go. See, that was easy. Those are positives.
And that's when we end the podcast right now, guys.
And just the podcast shuts off. But, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, how do you feel? Like, I know, I think it's fun to be negative to your friends, but when it comes to, like, on podcasts, I would never be like, hey, listen to me. You should freaking never buy this person's CD because they sold out and they suck. End of episode. just like that, the credits hit. It's like, no, like, how do you feel about that stuff?
I mean, when you're in your friend group and stuff, it is easier just to, like, you know, shit on bands because, you know, it's funny like that. But, I don't know, like, the whole genre thing, like, just not liking something because it's in that genre, it doesn't really make sense, you know? Actually, I've been checking out a lot more bands now just because of radio and stuff. They keep sending me stuff. And there's this band, Ebony Ivory, I think they're called. And they totally remind me of, like, Periphery. And but they were classified as progressive rock. I was like, that's not how you're just like the press release and everything was progressive rock, and I was like, this isn't Periphery's.
Well, I probably got it from Google because doing the reaction videos, I'm like, what genre is this? Because I do like always metalhead reacts to this, and I'm like, it's like rock, and I'm like, well, it's definitely not rock. Like that's just like, well, it's rock technically, but it's like. Progressive is also always hard because when you have prog elements, you literally could be like 5 different genres at one point because that's the whole essence of prog.
But there's usually like an overall theme, an overall sound you have. Usually the heavier parts, if that's like a majority of your music, you're going to be metal.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know. Like, and I'm just happy I got vindicated by someone like Trevor. It is too much good music out there.
Yes,
it's a job to listen to all the stuff I like. I feel like it's
and Jesse, where do you do all this?
You see me listening to all this new music on Insid on youtube.com/c/Insid1. That's my YouTube channel where I do reaction videos and stuff. And it's nuts. Well, also I always like wondered too because you always talked about it on the radio station. Like I went on your radio show here and there, but every week like you always were listening to random ass bands in the car. And though, like, I like what I like to listen to at the moment, like, I'm just like, I want it, I need it now. But still, it's like kind of seeing parts of what you had to deal with where I'm like, oh, shit. Like, bands are starting to hit me up to, like, react to their songs. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. Some of these guys aren't bad. I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, all right, now we got underground. We got more music. I got to sneak in. Like, I don't have enough room because I forget I'm a bubblehead. And then, like, a year down the road, I'll be like, I'll hum a chorus. I'm like, wait. Just like look through the list. I'm like, there they are. I listened to them 2.5 years ago. I'm like, oh my God.
There is a lot. It gets overwhelming, especially when I look at my email and there's like several albums sent to me. I was like, okay, here we go.
Here we go. Well, it's also like what a fantastic problem to have, though.
I mean, but sometimes it's just like, oh, I got this new album. Like, I don't mind listening to it, but like, I really want to keep listening to Discarnate. You know, I really want to listen to that like Slipknot album. You know what I mean?
I just want to listen to Discarnate. It's just true. They're sick.
I gotta say, out of like, you know, bands I keep going back to, Discarnate is I keep going back to them. Like, this has been for like almost a year now, or whenever that Fit for an Autopsy show was. I think I found out about them a month or two before that. I just keep listening to them like nonstop. Like, when's the last time we saw them at St. Vitus? Or no, were you there?
I wasn't there. Well, I was gonna go, and then the tour or Discarnate dropped out, and I wasn't gonna lie. I've seen Fit for an Autopsy a bunch. I was really going there for Discarnate, and I got a little brokenhearted.
Well, they played again, I think, when we went to As Lay Dying, and that was in November.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not missing it.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. Yeah, no, I'm enjoying this problem. I will say, though I wish I wasn't such a bubblehead, because I will say, like, there's so many good music where, like, Trevor pops it off the top of his head, which is great for him, but, like, if I haven't listened to it or kept tabs on it, it takes me a minute, and like an old truck that hasn't been driven in like a year. Like it takes me a good 5 keystrokes to eventually get me started. It's like Slipknot 19. This sounds like this has a guitar. All right, cool. Periphery. I'm like, there you go. Like it's like what? None of those made sense. It's like yeah, no, just going through my old hard drive. I'm just like when I'm not old, just like poor eating.
All right, now we're going to wrap up this little show. I hope you guys enjoyed everything you heard. Remember, you can catch Jesse. I'm going to put all his stuff in the description below for his Insid Reacts. And remember, you can catch my show as well at WMSC every Tuesday night, 7 to 10 p.m. What? And it's all on mixcloud.com/MTB Experience. And remember, this podcast, if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can find it on Spotify and Google Podcasts and anywhere you get podcasts.
Stitcher, everything.
Yeah. Any platform.
Apple
we're
people.
There. iHeartRadio.
And we're going to go through it. The last 10 minutes, we're just...
Name them all.
Pod dumpster. I don't know. There's probably one out there.
Remember to like, subscribe, and ring that bell.
Oh, for the hot content. Smash that like button. Take a sledgehammer to the subscribe button. Steal your friends' phones, your mom's, your dad's, your granny's. Like it on there too, please.
Yeah, please.
Make an account.
All right, guys. Until next time, peace.